Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Courtney Neubauer. I work for the Division of Nutrition Support. By this time, most of you probably recognize my voice. We're now at 17 months of this virus, so that's a lot of monthly updates. Today, what we're going to focus on is the start of school and a little bit about what you need to know and other resources that you can refer to for the start of school. So our agenda, which looks very similar to previous agendas, these are the areas that we'll touch on today. The state oversight plan as we move into school year 21-22, the child nutrition emergency cost guidance, and everybody's waiting to want to know when they're going to get some additional funds. Also PEBT and PEBT local level funding, a brief overview of the school year 21-22 waivers, school year 21-22 operational updates, some additional training updates, and then other program updates that we may have. So to start, let's talk about our oversight plan as we move into school year 21-22. We do have a waiver that provides flexibility in the administrative reviews in school year 21-22. And this waiver waives certain meal program requirements for the administrative review. And that is to ensure that we're able to continue to conduct those reviews with the SFAs that are planning to only operate the seamless summer option in school year 21-22. So with modifications, the administrative reviews can and will resume for school year 21-22. And it will look very similar to pre-pandemic with some slight modifications. One of the things that we intended to hopefully return to were some on-site visits. I feel like over the last 3 to 4 weeks, the wheels are starting to fall off again. And so maybe that is not what our future holds. So we are ready and will continue to pivot, whether it needs to be virtual or in person. But at this point, it probably will look more like they will be virtual reviews unless something dramatic changes in the next few weeks. So the SFAs that were originally scheduled for review in school year 2021, they received technical assistance, and their reviews have been postponed until school year 21-22. And right now, the reviews will occur in school year 21-22. And for many of those school systems, they are ready for those reviews to return, as they have really been either preparing for or anticipation of this review for 3 years now. So it's time for them to be able to put this review behind them and not continue to look for it to be coming in the future. Our reviews that were originally planned for school year 21-22 will now be occurring in school year 22-23. We have updated the administrative review schedule on our website, and it does not reflect any dates. It only reflects the years in which the school system is to review. There should be no surprises on this schedule. So I'll just briefly pull it up and show you what I mean by that. If I can get it to open. Hold on, I'm pulling it up for you so you can see what the review schedule looks like. So the review schedule is what it has looked in previous years, and has the columns for the school year, as well as an X in the column in which the school system will be reviewed. We've added a column for school year 2021 to reflect that no reviews were conducted, and these are the SFAs that have received a technical assistance visit. The school systems that received a technical visit in 2021 will be the same ones that are reviewed in school year 21-22. We also have the waiver of the on-site monitoring requirements in school meal programs. So the effective date of this waiver is July 1st to 30 days after the end of the public health emergency. And this allows for our reviews to be conducted through off-site means. So we can do that through desk audits or virtual site visits. So we've gotten really good over the year with virtual site visits. So if we have to do that, we will continue to do that as well. This waiver also applies to SFAs for their on-site monitoring, which is due by February 1st. So that particular on-site monitoring for school meals, as it can be also conducted through off-site means. There's also a waiver of the on-site monitoring requirements for state agencies in the Child and Adult Care Food Program. And this waiver is effective October 1st, 2021 until 30 days after the end of the public health emergency. And, you know, we all wonder at what point that this emergency will end. And we probably thought that we were approaching the end of that as we started this summer, and even probably halfway through this summer. But at this point, I don't know that we see the end or have any idea of when the end will come. So we're not sure when these flexibilities will no longer be allowed. Now we'll move on to talk about the child nutrition emergency cost guidance. So we've talked about this for a few months now, and many of you are probably wondering where we are in this process with the administering of the funds to SFAs. So the purpose of the COVID-19 emergency operating costs is to provide additional funding for child nutrition programs whose revenues were decreased or were interrupted during the early days of the public health emergency. So these funds are meant to address funding shortfalls. So we're hearing from districts across the entire state that are seeing a deficit in the child nutrition accounts due to the early days and even the continuation of COVID-19. We were able to use past claims to formulate the equation and to determine the amount of reimbursement that each SFA would potentially receive. And those funds are meant to be deposited into the nonprofit school food service account and to be used in accordance with normal program requirements. So key dates on where we are with this process. So we did receive approval of our plan being approved on July 2nd. And right now we are anticipating the disbursement of these funds to be mid to late August. So we're real close to getting to the point where those funds will be dispersed to SFAs. Once again, there is no application.
Again, this is Johnson Controls. We're performing tests on the fire systems today. Please disregard all signals until further notice. Thank you.
Sorry, they're testing our fire alarms in the building today. So disregard any fire alarms that you hear. So we are not going to be catching on fire this afternoon. So back to where we were. So we are anticipating disbursement in mid to late August. You do not need to submit any application. You don't need to request these funds. This will all be done or has already been determined we will, once the funds are dispersed, we will notify you through a memo that says the funds related to emergency costs have been deposited to the account on file. Please look for, a particular memo line item. So all of our deposits, whether it be a claim for reimbursement for summer feeding or school lunch or CACFP, all contain a memo or a line item on that check that tells you what that is intended for. So we will tell you what that line item will look like, what that memo will say, and then you will be able to look back in the LaGov system and in your in your accounts and find that particular deposit. So like I said, we are anticipating that mid to late August. Some previous guidance that we've released, we have USDA's initial guidance and questions and answers, which were released back in January. We also have additional guidance on the implementation plan and a second set of questions and answers. And we also have done a training on the emergency cost which was done in April, and the recording and the slides are available on Louisiana Fit Kids. All right, the next topic will be PEBT and local level funding for schools. So I know that we all absolutely have a love-hate relationship with PEBT. So it is a huge benefit for our families and our our children that we serve, but the extra workload on staff has been very difficult. So this time around, DCFS has worked to create a parent portal where parents can be directed to view and manage all of their children's PEBT benefit information. So this new portal will assist families with determining if they are to receive PEBT benefits, the amounts that they will or have received on their cards, and when additional funds have been added to their card. So these funds are being deposited in incremental periods of time. So the families will be able to check to see when additional funds will be deposited. School systems can provide this link and information about the new portal to parents, and this hopefully will help lessen the number of calls and questions regarding the child's benefits. DCFS has also created a PEBT administrators portal, and this was released on July 10th. This portal provides the following updates. So this is a place for school systems to upload spreadsheets, to fix exceptions or data errors, to edit certain cases, certain case details and student data, to edit details on affiliated schools, to add a new affiliated school, and to search for students' details associated to the benefits. If a child nutrition director would like to have access to this, they need to consult their school data manager. So to access the portal, school data managers need a myla.gov account. And if additional accounts are needed, that can be provided, but it would need to go through the data administrator. So summer PEBT, this deadline has now passed, but I think it's important for us to address what that deadline meant and why we had to go about setting that deadline. So summer PEBT and application. So we are anticipating Louisiana's summer PEBT plan to roll out very soon. So it has been approved by USDA, and DCFS will be reaching out in the near future for data related to the summer PEBT benefits. So they have asked families who qualify for free or reduced price lunch but may not currently be receiving them. They asked for them to apply for those benefits with the schools by Friday, July 30th, so this past Friday. Students who were already receiving free or reduced priced meals didn't need to reapply for this. And this includes students who were in CEP schools. If they completed an application between July 1st and July 30th for summer PEBT, then that should have been done on the school year 21-22 application. And then once that status is made, although we have this deadline of July 30th, that was strictly for summer PEBT. That new status that was determined between July 1st and the July 30th deadline, that's good for the entire 21-22 school year. So that family could potentially still be using that same information to qualify for PEBT in school year 21-22 and potentially for summer 2022. PEBT local level funding for schools. So this is an additional funding source that grant that will be provided to schools at a later date. So we originally asked for school systems to submit invoices or requests for funds related to PEBT local level funding. And that was to be done in May and then again in August. In May, we received very little response, actually no response to the request for these funds. And then in June, USDA came out with some flexibilities that made it a little bit easier for the awarding of these funds. So this is meant to support PEBT activities that were related to fiscal year 2021. So that's the PEBT benefits that we're working on now. So school year 2021, that is those families are still being issued benefits, as well as the summer PEBT 2021 benefits. So previous guidance did ask for that application, and we did not get any response in May. So they released this new flexibility that allowed us to use an amount of money that would be awarded to eligible entities based on the number of PEBT eligible children. And so we are able to use claim data from fiscal year 2020 and use the free and reduced eligible children to determine the number of PEBT eligible kids within your district. So we have done that work already, and we have submitted that spreadsheet to USDA. So that spreadsheet was due this coming Friday on August the 6th, and we were able to submit that plan and spreadsheet to USDA this past Friday on July 30th. You do not need to submit an application. You don't need to do anything. So once again, we will reach out to you when the money is made available to you, but there will not need to be an application for this this funding source or the emergency cost guidance, emergency cost reimbursement. School year 21-22 food service waivers. So we're moving into the food service waivers that we're going to have in this next school year. So this is just a brief overview of the waivers that are in place. The nationwide waiver to allow seamless summer option, the nationwide waiver to allow the summer food service reimbursement rates, the nationwide waiver to allow non-congregate meal service, the nationwide waiver of mealtime flexibility, the waiver to allow parents and guardians to pick up meals, the waiver to allow specific school meal pattern flexibility, the waiver to allow specific meal pattern flexibility in the Cacfp program, the waiver to allow offer versus serve flexibility for senior high schools, the waiver of area eligibility in after-school programs, the waiver of on-site monitoring requirements in school meals, the waiver of on-site monitoring requirements for state agencies and the Child and Adult Care Food Program, and the waiver of monitoring requirements for sponsors in the Child and Adult Care Food Program. All of these waivers, the opt-ins for them, are part of this school year 21-22 National School Lunch online application. This online application is available now, and you will need to complete the opt-in and opt-out of these waivers with your online application. The first waiver, the waiver to allow the seamless summer option to school year 21-22. There's a lot of confusion about what is and is not allowable in school year 21-22. And we know that all of school year 2021, we were offering free meals to all using the summer food service plan. And now we're moving into seamless summer. And what exactly does that mean? And what can we do and what can we not do? So in short, the easiest way to explain what we're doing in school year 21-22 is we are moving back to as close to the National School Lunch Program as we possibly can. So seamless summer is an extension of the National School Lunch Program. So that means that our meal pattern, our regulations, all of the things that surround the seamless summer program are also the same regulations and requirements that surround the seamless summer program. So National School Lunch and seamless summer come from the same regulations. So seamless summer is an extension of the National School Lunch Program. So the reason why USDA is making seamless summer an option instead of just putting all of the school systems back on National School Lunch is the availability to offer meals free of charge. So in seamless summer, there is the ability, just as there is with summer feeding, to rely on area eligibility to qualify all students as free. So that flexibility that is part of seamless summer is what's pushing USDA to have this as an option. So it is a better option than we had in the previous years because this is part of National School Lunch. So when we're planning for this next school year, we need to try to forget what we did this last year and go back to pre-COVID and the requirements for National School Lunch that were happening then. The only difference that really comes into play is going to be the requirements surrounding the free and reduced price eligibility, because here in seamless summer, everybody's free. So this is a very similar operation as you would see with a CEP school system pre-COVID. So that's kind of why we're seeing this. So summer food service and the simpler summer food service meal pattern is not an option for school year 21-22. So this waiver allows for the operation of seamless summer. So even though it says the word summer in this, let's remember that this is really an extension of National School Lunch. We do have the ability under this waiver and seamless summer to serve all children under 18 meals at no charge. So there is still the ability to have open sites to serve other children, not just our enrolled children. The meals do not need to be counted and claimed by eligibility category. So everybody is considered free. The area eligibility waiver is not necessary because USDA has waived that requirement as part of this waiver. So no matter where the location of this school is, the percentage of eligible children, everybody can operate, every school can operate the seamless summer option and provide meals to their students or even children in the area at no charge. Schools can operate open or closed enrolled sites. If you intend to operate a site and only feed the children enrolled in your school, that would be closed enrolled. If you are wanting to serve kids 18 and under in the community, then that would be an open site. Under seamless summer, you can only serve 2 meals. So generally speaking, those 2 meals are breakfast and lunch. So after school snacks or supper would have to be served under the National School Lunch Program after school snack program or CACFP at-risk supper or snacks. The only exception where the snacks may be able to be served under the seamless summer option is if the school system only serves lunch. So if normally you only serve lunch and after school snack, you could serve both of those meals under Seamless Summer because you still would only be having 2 meals each day. But generally, the way most of the school systems will operate, breakfast and lunch will be under Seamless Summer, and any after school snacks or supper would be served and claimed under the National School Lunch After School Snack Program or the CACFP at-risk meal program in school year 21-22. So the second waiver that supports the Seamless Summer option and also makes things a little bit more confusing is the fact that USDA has released a waiver that allows for the summer food service reimbursement rates to be used through school year 21-22. So now that we know that we're required to really get closer to that National School Lunch meal pattern and the requirements of National School Lunch, and that Seamless Summer is just an extension of the National School Lunch, USDA has also now allowed for school systems that choose to operate this Seamless Summer option to be able to receive that higher rate of reimbursement that is available for summer feeding for those meals. So now we're once again throwing in that SFSP, which just makes things confusing. But what we're seeing is that there's 2 options. So you're either going to serve National School Lunch or you're going to serve Seamless Summer. If you choose National School Lunch, you follow the National School Lunch reimbursement rates. If you're choosing Seamless Summer, it is just an extension of National School Lunch, but now everybody's free and you will receive a higher rate of reimbursement. And the rate of reimbursement will be what is the high rate, or what's considered the rural or self-prep rate for summer food service. So as a reminder, the summer food service program is not extended. Seamless Summer option better positions schools to serve more nutritious meals. So we're getting back to our National School Lunch meal pattern. So our available options for school year 21-22, a Seamless Summer option with the summer food service program reimbursement rates, or the National School Lunch and School Breakfast programs with the National School Lunch, School Breakfast reimbursement rates. As a reminder, only 2 meals can be served under Seamless Summer, which would typically be breakfast and lunch, and after school snacks would need to be served under either National School Lunch after school programs or CACFP. So our 2 options for school year 21-22, just in another form, is going to be either this operating Seamless Summer or traditional National School Lunch. If a school system wants to operate Seamless Summer, the meals served to students, you can serve those to children enrolled at the school. If you're operating an open site, you can also serve children in the community, 18 and under. All children receive meals free of charge, and the reimbursement will be the high rate of reimbursement for the summer food service program. The other option is the regular National School Lunch program in school year 21-22. Here, you would serve meals only to the students enrolled at the school. The meals are counted by each student's free, reduced, paid eligibility. And the reimbursement for those meals is based off the eligibility, and the rates are the National School Lunch meal pattern rates. So the availability of child nutrition programs for school year 21-22, just another way to say the exact same thing. Our options are the Seamless Summer option, National School Lunch, School Breakfast program, after school, at-risk after school meals, and also the fresh fruit and vegetable program. What is not allowed is the summer food service program. So National School Lunch after school snack and or at-risk after school meals can be served while operating the Seamless Summer option. In addition to the waivers that we've already discussed, there are also some additional waivers that are meant to promote operational flexibility. And these look very similar to waivers that we've seen in the past. So we have the non-congregate meal waiver, mealtime flexibility, parent guardian pickup, and then the offer versus serve flexibility. These waivers are intended to be used only for the duration and the extent needed. USDA encourages SFAs to return to standard meal service operations when it is safe to do so. So what we were seeing up until about 2 weeks ago was a return to very normal operations, at least as normal as we could be in the middle of a pandemic. We were seeing the return of in cafeteria eating. We were seeing the return of some of the processes of offer versus serve. A lot of things that were really, really exciting to feel that we were finally getting to a point of normalcy, or at least as close as we would be at this point. And then the last few weeks, everything has kind of changed. So especially in the last week or even the last few days. So I'm sure many of you are pivoting and trying to now determine a new option or a different way of doing things based on new information. So you may have thought that the use of these waivers were not something that you were going to really need, where you may be thinking a little bit differently as we approach the school year. So this first waiver, which is good for the entire school year, removes the requirement that meals must be served in a congregate setting and that the meals must be consumed by participants on site. And this is for National School Lunch, School Breakfast, the Seamless Summer Option, and CACFP. The second waiver, the waiver of the mealtime requirements, this allows meals to be served outside of the standard meal times. Schools have the flexibility to provide meal pickup options to students that are learning virtually and grab-and-go meals for students that are in school. You do still need to have meal times, so you are required to still have meal times, but they can be outside of the standard meal times. Delivery of meals to homes. This is something that became very popular in last school year and then also in the summer. The combination of the non-congregate waiver and the mealtime flexibility waiver allow for the option to provide meals through delivery. The sponsor must obtain written consent from households to provide meals to students at their homes, and all delivery plans must be approved by the state agency prior to meals being sent home. The waiver to allow parent guardians to pick up meals. This waiver does not require the children to be present to pick up meals. So parents or guardians can pick up meals for their children without the children being present, but the sponsor must ensure program integrity. The sponsor must have a documented process in place that ensures meals are distributed only to parents and guardians of eligible children and that duplicate meals are not distributed. This next waiver, the waiver to allow offer versus serve flexibilities for senior high schools. So we are returning to the National School Lunch Meal Pattern. So under the National School Lunch Meal Pattern, offer versus serve is optional for all age grade groups except for senior high school students at lunch. So your 9th through 12th graders by regulation are required to be given the option to decline items. So participation in offer versus serve for your 9th through 12th graders at lunch is a requirement. So what this waiver allows is for that to be optional. So if you do not want to utilize the offer versus serve flexibility for senior high school students in your schools, then you would want to request this waiver. The waiver to allow specific school meal pattern flexibilities. So this waiver is effective from October 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. And the reason why there's the start date of October 1 is that there's also another waiver, child nutrition response number 74, which is a meal pattern flexibility. And this is a little bit broader meal pattern flexibility, and it is in effect through September 30th, 2021. With justification, specific meal pattern requirements are waived to allow program operators to serve meals that may not meet the nutrition standards. So remember, we are returning to the national school lunch meal pattern. Where we were when COVID-19 hit, we were in a place where we were able to serve 1% flavored milk, and we were able to serve 50% of the grains whole grain. What happened shortly after the pandemic, I believe it was actually in April, there was some kind of issue on the federal level where those flexibilities were revoked, and we have moved back to the requirements of the 2012 meal pattern. So that means that 100% of the grains that we offer are to be whole grain rich. The milk that we offer is to be fat-free flavored milk. So 1% milk can be unflavored, but you are not allowed to have 1% flavored milk. We probably forgot that that's where we had moved to, because we've had this year of summer food service and craziness that has come about, but that's where we should be as we move into this next school year. So what these waivers for the meal pattern flexibility allow is for some flexibilities related to that meal pattern that we are moving back to. So the following specific requirements can be waived, so that menus meet the dietary specifications for sodium. So one of the other areas in that flexibility was the sodium requirements. So that is also something that is returned back to the 2012 recommendation. Also, that all grains must be whole grain rich. If we do have preschoolers and we're following that pre-K meal pattern, then at least one serving per day must be whole grain rich. To offer a variety of vegetables from the vegetable subgroups, to offer a variety, at least 2 different options of fluid milk, that low-fat milk must be unflavored, and to plan menus and offer food components for specific age grade groups in the stated combinations. So we have the ability to approve waivers across the entire year for sodium without a whole lot of explanation. All the other flexibilities, so the whole grain, the milk, the vegetable subgroups, all of these other things listed here, they require justification. And that justification is going to be very individualized. So you'll need to request these waivers and be very individualized with the request and what the reasons why you're asking for this. If you're looking for the use of the whole grain waiver for only rice, then indicate that in that waiver request. So if it is rice and it's because you have a lot of the commodity white rice and it is enriched but not whole grain rich, then indicate that. If you're asking for a waiver of and I'm making these up, the red orange vegetable subgroup because you're sending meals home to students and you just can't find something that can be sent home to students. So you're asking for that waiver specifically for your virtual kids. So just be very specific as to what your request is and what you're intending to do so that we can look at approving that. Requests that are in anticipation of something that may happen for the entire year. So waivers that would waive all of these requirements all the way for the entire school year is not something that we're going to approve. So we need you to be very justified with your request and explain why you need this and how you intend to use it. So all of the other meal patterns requirements remain in effect. USDA has offered these specific flexibilities to support schools, and this does not allow for the waiver of an entire component or to serve less than the required amount to meet the daily and weekly requirements, or to provide flexibilities due to product shortages or delivery issues. If you start to see that delivery issues and product shortages where you're unable to meet the meal pattern requirement is starting to happen, please reach out to us. I know that there's a lot of times that they are unable to give you certain items, but there are replacements or substitutions that are done that still allow for the meal pattern to be followed. But if you're starting to get to where it's not at all an option, just to really reach out to us so we understand the severity of some of these shortages in the school systems. There's also a waiver for specific meal pattern flexibility in Cacfp. So this waives very specific requirements in the Cacfp program. And those specific requirements could be that at least one serving per day of grains must be whole grain rich, that crediting of grains by ounce equivalents must be fully implemented by October 1, and that low-fat milk must be unflavored. We also still have the Consolidated Appropriations Act. So this is how this act relates to child nutrition programs. So the flexibilities in this act are only good through September 30th, 2021. So anything beyond that would need to come from Congress, but right now this is meant to expire September 30th. And this would allow for the substitution of vegetables for fruits under the school breakfast program. It prohibits funds from being used to procure raw or processed poultry products from the People's Republic of China. It provides guidance related to pricing of paid lunches for the National School Lunch Program for the duration of school year 21-22, and also allows the offering of low-fat 1% flavored milk in NSLP SBP. So if you are looking to serve the 1% flavored milk after September 30th, then that would have to be done through a waiver as discussed in the previous slide. It's also the waiver of area eligibility in the after-school programs in the family daycare homes. And this is effective July 1 through June 30th. And this allows schools and at-risk centers to claim all meals and snacks at the free rate, regardless of the location. And this applies to our after-school snacks under NSLP and also Cacfp. After-school meals enrichment requirements has not been waived. So the enrichment requirement is still a requirement, and the guidance has allowed it to be digital if necessary, and enrichment activities should include options that are accessible to all participating children. The department as a whole has published some school operational guidance, and the updated school reopening guidance materials, the Ready to Achieve the School Reopening Guidance, was updated, I believe, as recently as yesterday, or maybe it was Friday. There's also a dynamic frequently asked questions. This changes all the time. So this is simply a guide of best practices. These are not mandates. It's also important to understand that the guidance is meant to be a blueprint that's based on the best information available now. And as updated recommendations are available, as well as the shift in the virus, it's likely to impact all of the guidance. So, we're getting a lot of questions about this next school year. And, I think I made it through all of school year 2021 relying on my magic 8-ball to give me answers, because I felt like that was the best we could get on some days. So I know there's a lot of questions about, what is or is not allowed. I'm going to put in the chat box a link to the CDC guidance for K-12. This was last updated on July the 9th. I would envision that this will be updated again very soon as we, as we start to move through this next wave of the virus. I think that we just have to continue to make plans and do the best we can until we are told that those plans are no longer going to work. I think that's kind of how we've gone this far. So most of us, I just bought brand new masks for all my kids for school because I'm not sure where all of our masks have disappeared to. So I think that we just have to continue to pivot and make plans, in our personal life as well as our professional life as we move through this virus. We also have 3 frequently asked question documents that have been posted by USDA. The first one is the questions and answers for child nutrition operations in school year 21-22. That's memo SFS 21-X184. We also have another memo, memo SFS 21-X197. This is a questions and answer document that is related to child nutrition programs, but it's basically pulled from a lot of the previous questions and answers. So they've pulled questions and answers from last school year and consolidated it to one document and updated that for school year 21-22. And the last one is memo SFS 21-X205, and this is questions and answers related to CEP operations during school year 21-22. The online application for school year 21-22 is available. We have made updates to it to increase usability. So we tried to simplify it a little bit. We have a school lunch program, seamless summer training that has been posted. We have the slides and the video, which are on Louisiana Fit Kids. We also have a repeat training, which is scheduled for this Thursday, August the 5th. So I strongly encourage you to listen to that. You should complete the National School Lunch Program online application before completing the Seamless Summer Waiver. So you need to complete the traditional forms, your policy checklist, the Schedule A, all of those forms that you're used to completing. You need to go ahead and do that. You also need to opt in to or out of all of the waivers. Then once you get through that National School Lunch Program application, you should also then do the Seamless Summer Waiver. Do make sure when you select your waivers under the form section, make sure you indicate that last waiver, which is for you to elect that you're going to use the Seamless Summer option. That is what's going to trigger those higher SFSP reimbursement rates. So do make sure that you select that. We also have the important due dates has been updated for school year 21-22, and it is posted on the website. And it will remind you of all the other important deadlines that are coming. The applications that are now available are due by August 27th. The average meal cost document has been posted for school year 21-22. This assists with completion of the average meal cost section of that Schedule A for the online application. The 21-22 PLE tool. So any school food authority with a positive or zero balance in its nonprofit school food service account as of December 30th is exempt from the PLE pricing requirements. SFAs that are operating Seamless Summer only during school year 21-22 do not need to follow PLE requirements for school year 21-22. Please note that when completing the tool, if SFAs do not have pricing or sales data from October 2020, they can use October 2019 for pricing data. The National School Lunch Program reimbursement rates have been released. These rates apply to national school lunch, school breakfast, and after school snack. These are not the rates for seamless summer when utilizing the SFSP reimbursement rates for school year 21-22. So this national school lunch reimbursement rate is usually what is the reimbursement rates for seamless summer, but when utilizing this waiver for this next school year, the reimbursement rates that were posted last week are not the rates that you would be using for seamless summer during this next school year. By opting into the seamless summer waiver, we're utilizing the summer food service rates, and the rates that will be used is the high rate of reimbursement under the SFSP, and these rates will be good through December 31st, 2021, and we would expect to have revised rates effective January 1. The income eligibility guidelines have been released. These guidelines are effective from July 1 to June 30th. These are the guidelines for all of the free and reduced priced applications, and we do have a copy of those guidelines posted. The state attendance factor has been posted. So school year 21-22, our attendance factor is 94.14. For RCCIs, that rate is 100%. Unless a customized attendance factor is requested, the default will be the state's attendance factor. As a reminder, weekend and holiday meals are not to be provided under seamless summer when school is in session. So once the school year returns, weekend and holiday meals cannot be provided through the seamless summer option. Weekend and holiday meals may be provided through CACFP at-risk after-school meals in school year 21-22. The media release, so schools operating seamless summer must provide notification regarding the availability of school meals and the eligibility criteria at or near the beginning of the school year. Schools participating in seamless summer should notify households that all meals will be free of charge through the seamless summer option. We have posted memo SFS 21-X199 for templates of public releases and other free and reduced forms. We also did a training on July 28th on this particular topic, and the slides and the video from this training will be posted very soon to Louisiana Fit Kids. They may have already been posted, but they were not available as of yesterday when I finished up this presentation. Remember, the requirements for seamless summer this next school year are the requirements of National School Lunch. So at the beginning of the school year for National School Lunch, we are required to provide notification to the public and our families of the availability of meals. That requirement is still a requirement under seamless summer. That media release will probably look very different. So we have a couple of options, the media release samples for SFAs that are not collecting meal applications. We have one for school systems that are still collecting applications. So a lot of different varieties. All SFAs operating seamless summer, even those that are not planning to process applications, are still required to use eScholar to directly certify students. The updates are still available monthly. The requirement to notify households of direct certification eligibility has not been waived, and we have created some templates to help. They include language that explains why households are receiving the letter and when all of their students are already receiving free meals. The June SNAP file is available. This June SNAP file is the first file of the school year 21-22. Meal applications in seamless summer. The school meal application is used to determine eligibility for free or reduced price meals. And then by extension, it's also used for eligibility for PEBT. SFAs must make applications available as needed to certify children for free and reduced price meals that may be used to qualify newly eligible children. for school year 21-22 and summer 22 PEBT benefits. There's also some additional guidance from the United States Department of Education that helps support districts in determining alternate means of allocating Title I funds. And we have updated free and reduced price materials are posted under the forms section of the child nutrition website. Verification for school year 21-22. SFAs that collect household applications in school year 21-22 are required to conduct verification, regardless of the reason why the applications were collected. The sample size used to conduct verification activities must still be based on the number of approved applications on file as of October 1. Community eligibility provision guidelines. By September 30th, 2021, SFAs must make final elections regarding CEP participation. If needed, SFAs can resubmit the population data. The ISP may be calculated using data drawn from any period of time between July 1st, 2020 and June 30th, 2021. We have also posted the memo regarding final confirmation on the website. That's SFS 21-196. When you're logging on to the website and you click on CEP participation, you should have a box that looks like what's on the screen. And there will either be in this third column, either an S or an A. If there is an S for Sally, then that shows that it is in submitted state and that the final confirmation has not been completed. Once you see this status of A as accepted, you are finished. So log on to the child nutrition website and look for that box under the CEP elections. If you do not have an A there, then you are still an SFA that needs to complete that final election by September 30th. Training updates. So all of our trainings are still on Louisiana Fit Kids, so please register. After the training, you should complete the questionnaire. You'll also receive an email confirming attendance, the training hours, and the USDA training codes. Our registration is now open for all of the August and September trainings. We also are posting the training slides and recorded videos on the Louisiana Fit Kids website. Upcoming virtual trainings, registration is open for August and September trainings, but our August trainings that are included here, we have August 5th, which is Thursday. It's a repeat of the National School Lunch and Seamless Summer Option applications. Thursday, August 12th is the Procurement Plan and Code of Conduct. Wednesday, August 18th, Accommodating Children with Disabilities. Tuesday, August 24th is the School Breakfast Program Meal Pattern and Offer versus Serve. Tuesday, August 31st is the National School Lunch Meal Pattern and Offer versus Serve. All registration is done on Louisiana Fit Kids. And as a reminder, our next monthly call will be Tuesday, September 7th at 1:00 p.m. So our monthly calls are always on the first Tuesday of the month. The eScholar Direct Match training. So eScholar did a total of 3 trainings. We have one more training, which is going to be Friday, August 20th at 10 a.m. If you have not attended one of the other 2, I strongly encourage you to attend this one. The registration links are posted in memo SFS 21-X186. So please register in advance. I strongly encourage all child nutrition directors to register and attend for this training. We still are offering manager training at the request of an SFA or a combination of SFAs. So there's no cost to the SFA, a minimum of 10 participants. It can be virtual or in person, and the schedule can be customized. Other updates. So some eScholar updates. we have worked very closely with eScholar on a project that would improve the matching system. eScholar 2020 has now gone live. So this was effective last week. The improved system allows schools to match student enrollment data against program records. The updated system supports multiple agency programs such as SNAP, TANF, foster care, migrant, DC extended, and manual matching. The direct match URL has changed. So effective yesterday, the URL for the Louisiana Direct Match system has changed. So the new address is the secureid.ldoe.la.gov, and the previous address that included the SecureID and eScholar is now disabled. We have received some comments from SFAs about some current bugs that are in the release of version 2020. So they may be batches are showing 0 of 0 records. Additional DM index file layouts are not in the current format. Loading to the local software was causing errors. The download function for match records was taking a really long time. So they, eScholar installed a patch last night, and now it should hopefully be resolved. Batches may automatically show the correct counts. Districts may have to rerun their matches, downloading the match results, and it should take a shorter amount of time, and the DM index file should be in the correct format for districts to load into their food service software. TANF updates. So TANF will be available for matching starting in September. The file download will now be the same format as SNAP. So both SNAP and TANF files should be easily accepted by the food service software without overwriting SNAP data. So look for that to be coming in the near future. eScholar CEP Manager. So CEP Manager will be released in time for the April 2022 CEP population data and CEP elections. And in anticipation, SFAs should ensure that all student matches, including manual matches and address matches, which will start in October, should be completed in eScholar. This will ensure that the correct population data will be in the eScholar system once elections are to begin for April of 2022. Please register to attend the training session on Friday, August 20th, if you haven't already attended one. So I'll give you a brief overview of what's to come with the new CEP manager. As a reminder, we still have the pre-approved equipment list posted on our website. If the equipment is not on the list, then you need to ask for approval before purchasing. And the form for pre-approval is located here. And then also you need to send that to the Child Nutrition Program's website at la.gov. Procurement update: on July 21st, Governor John Bel Edwards renewed the state of emergency for COVID-19 in Proclamation 132 JBE 2021. And this proclamation included the suspension of the Louisiana public bid law and allowed for emergency procurement related to COVID-19. This proclamation extended the provisions until August 11th. Also, as a reminder, school food authorities and sponsors can use the regulatory authority that's found in the federal procurement regulations, and which allows operators to use the emergency non-competitive proposal to negotiate a new one-year contract for school year 21-22. So that is available as well. As we begin the next school year, as a reminder, we do have the civil rights complaint procedures for school child nutrition programs, and you need to complete these procedures and have them available. You should also ensure that you're using the USDA program discrimination complaint form, which replaces any other discrimination complaint forms you may have. Please provide the forms to all of your school sites and replace the previous version. And you need to inform staff of your procedures when filing a complaint. Another reminder, Turn Up the Beat. This recognizes outstanding summer meal program sponsors who work hard to offer high quality meals. You are also eligible if you were relying on the USDA waivers, and nominations are due by September 10th. So as a reminder about Seeds to Success, as we gear up to the next school year, we want to make sure that you are aware of the Seeds to Success program. They will begin mailing out seed packets to schools again as we start the next school year. So please encourage your teachers to log on to the Seeds to Success website. There's the windowsill greenhouse kits. They're also going to start with the earth boxes. There's great educational websites and lessons and growing guides. So strongly encourage you to refer your teachers to the to our Seeds to Success website. All right, any questions? I know there's a good bit of questions that are coming up in the chat box, so I'll do my best to see if I can answer those. There's a question about the parent portal. It's posted on the DCFS PEBT website, but I'm gonna post it in the chat box. Okay, the parent portal link is posted in the chat box for anybody that's interested. Okay. There's a question about whether or not free and reduced applications should still be sent home to households if you plan to utilize Seamless Summer. That's kind of up to you. So applications have to be available if a family wants to complete the application related to PEBT. So you have to at least accept applications for those particular families. If you would like to provide applications to all children enrolled, you have the right to do so. And there is a media release that explains why you may be doing that. So there are plenty of reasons why applications may still be helpful. So it could be for PEBT, it can be for the 30-day carryover in school year 22-23. We also know that there's some funding reasons why that data is often used as well, so that you can still do that. That presentation from July 28th, which should be posted to the Louisiana Fit Kids site soon, will need, you will may want to refer to that as to reasons why you may want to continue to process applications. So, and then also a separate question, in order to get the higher reimbursement rate with Seamless Summer, you do need to choose the waiver to elect the summer food service reimbursement rates. And we will do our best to ensure when reviewing your applications that you have selected that. So it is to most, if not all, SFA's advantage to opt in to that waiver and to receive that higher reimbursement. There's a question about when the CACFP application will be available. I don't really know that. That's someone from CACFP may have a better idea. I know their timeline is October 1 for the start of the fiscal year. So I would envision that would be available sometime in September. But that's just kind of based on what kind of thinking of the timeline. Okay, we will check on the important due dates and make sure that the link is working. The CEP final election is open, so you can do that today. You can do that next week, but it is open. It just needs to be done by September 30th, but you absolutely can go in and do that now. Question about whether or not like tally sheets or hash mark sheets can be used in Seamless Summer. So just as we see with like CEP or even summer feeding, since we're not capturing the statuses of children, hash mark sheets are an acceptable point of service as long as you have a process to ensure that duplicate meals aren't provided. So, as long as there's a solid process to ensure that using that hash mark sheet, you're able to still ensure that children are not allowed to come back through the line for a second meal, and that you're not providing duplicate meals. But as long as you do have a process, then yes, tally sheets or hash mark sheets would be an acceptable point of service. We'll also check the civil rights complaint form, complaint procedures, and make sure that those work. If you're 100% CEP, you are not required to do applications. So as a CEP system, you are not allowed to process meal applications. So you would not process meal applications at all. And so that is not a requirement, nor are you allowed to. You can for publishing the media release, you are not required to pay for the media release. So if it is too expensive for you to pay for, you just have to have provided it for publication. If it's a reasonable charge, then of course it's always best to do so, just so that the public is aware of the meals that you offer. I don't have a way to how to ensure that the newspapers are publicly or posting that for free. Some do typically charge for that. If you are a CEP district and the children eligible for PEBT are usually are going to be the entire population. Now remember that for last school year, it was twofold. So you had to be eligible for free or reduced price meals or attending that CEP school, and had to be receiving virtual learning. So whether or not that will still be the requirement in 21-22, I don't know, but being enrolled in a CEP school qualified children for that first eligibility criteria of being free and reduced priced eligible. So you don't need to process applications. Okay, they're now done working on our fire alarms, so everyone's aware. Any other questions? I encourage you all to attend the training on Thursday on our online application. So we have made some changes that hopefully will increase usability, but at the same time, we have changed enough to where there are questions. So if you can look at it and attend that training, I think it would be beneficial for you. And then we have another question. If you're wanting to do offer versus serve for any grade, even in high school, then you absolutely can still do offer versus serve. That waiver for offer versus serve is if you do not want to do offer versus serve for your high schools. You know, if you're delivering meals to the classroom, offer versus serve becomes a little bit more difficult, a little bit more cumbersome. Delivering to the households in general tends to be more difficult and more cumbersome. So you may have to be creative, and it may be, there may be a lot of ways that you can make that work, but in general, providing meals to the classroom is definitely a more difficult process than having students walk through the line. So definitely there's a lot of additional questions that come up when you're thinking through that process. All right, if there are not any more questions, I've held enough of your time today. I really appreciate you all coming and listening. This has been recorded. We will post that to the Louisiana Fit Kids website. Our next monthly call will be on the first Tuesday of September. And please look at Louisiana Fit Kids for all of the updated trainings that we have coming in the next few months. Thank you.